What's going on, everybody? It's time for Blunt Force Logic on this Friday. I've got something to say, and I never thought that I would say this because as time we learn things, but I'm going to be honest. I once said there was no such thing as white privilege. Then I learned a little bit more about white privilege, and on this Blunt Force Logic, I'm going to talk about the fact that there is no white privilege in this country anymore. I've stood by and listened to it and accepted it for a period of time. There has been white privilege, just like there has been racism in this country. So on this Blunt Force Logic, I encourage you to share this out there. I'm going to give my hot take, and I'm going to give the best logical response with some video help and with an article from Jason Whitlock as well. And I'm going to give my personal experience on why white privilege is no longer a thing in this country. And this is something that I have never said on any of our shows before. But at this point, I've fed up. I've watched a couple things, and I realize it's simply not true at all. Ladies and gentlemen, Blunt Force Logic will start in 30 seconds. What's going on, everybody? It's time for Blunt Force Logic. I'm not happy today. I will be happy later when we do our What Made You Smile today. But right now, I need to talk. You guys probably heard me on all of our shows. Truth will set you free. I've had discussions with Suni where Suni tells me, Anthony, hey, there is no such thing as white privilege. And I said, well, I've learned some things, and I was blessed growing up to, even though I was poor and even though I had a disabled father, I was not privileged per se, but I always said I had the benefit of the doubt when I walked into a Foot Locker. Nobody thought that I was going to steal anything. Well, this day and age, in 2021, I've made the decision after realizing that maybe I was raised with a little bit of that white privilege because, hey, I was the poor guy, and yet they didn't question me when I walked into a store. But you know what? We all have different things in our life that we are judged for. People look at us funny, and in 2021, I'm going to say the privilege is not even equal. It's actually flipped the other direction. It's gone completely off the rails, and I'm angry. So do me a favor. I've now got two screens so I can help myself. Must have been white privilege. I was able to buy the cheapest screen on Amazon Prime Day. I see you guys out there. Hello from Washington State. How am I going to go live during the sentencing? This would be quick, Jessica. I know. I was going to watch that too. Part of what I'm talking about. Chauvin, of course, didn't get the stay of execution, or should I say, they said that they did not declare a mistrial. Regardless, so this is what I want to talk about. I'm going to be quick because I want to see how, in God's name, people can still believe in white privilege. And if you can convince me to no longer believe in it, I'm sorry. That from a rational, logical state of thought, what's going on in this country is ugly. So this is the way that we've always said: there's haves and have-nots. Bullshit. There's haves, have-nots, and then there's the ones that will never have. So let me say that again. There's haves, have-nots that will have, and then the never haves. That's the difference. The never haves are the people that are being told they're never going to amount to anything. They're the people that are getting taught CRT. They're the people that by the white liberals are out there telling them that if they don't get taught CRT, then the world won't be fair. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I have been told that I'm a racist. I've been told that I was given everything. I was raised with a father that it was in my life essentially till he died, but only in my life as a married household, a single parent household. After I was 9 years old, he was disabled, pretty much completely blind, considered legally blind, had multiple sclerosis. I was raised poor. I was on free lunch. I was one of the poorest white kids at my school in St. Louis, Missouri. We had the desegregation program. At that time, when I played football, I enjoyed it, but there was elements of bullying by the city kids, might I add, by the black kids from the city. They would pick on me, but it was part of life because you know what? In life, there's always going to be bullies here and there. Plain and simple. So instead of this looking at things like white privilege, why don't we teach people? Look at the Magic Johnsons of the world. I just saw a video of him today. He overcame, transcended basketball, became a businessman, owns, I think, more Taco Bells or whatever than anything known to mankind. You've got Oprah, LeBron. Oprah and LeBron are perfect examples of people that have found a way to make it, yet they are telling people it's impossible to make it as a black person. The worst to me is I have black friends traveling the world, literally living a dream life, living a modern day dream life of privilege because a lot of them have absolutely earned it. Yet at the same time, their social media is showing and teaching black people about oppression. And some of them still support Black Lives Matter instead of the organization, instead of teaching other black people how to investing their time into the black community and teaching about the oppression that is out there. I'm sorry, the lack of oppression that is out there. I apologize. So they are legitimately living a life that if the world was against them, they would not be able to live. If this was 1960 something, the chances would be a fraction of a percent. I don't understand. They're granting victim mentality. And this is where it starts to get frustrating for me. As some of you might have seen my NCAA video, and I encourage you guys, please do me a favor and share this. Do Rose's comment right there. Please share this out. I'm going to go and throw this up as well. As you guys know, I hate everything except for Patreon. So if you want to support me on Patreon because I give extra stuff, that's where it is. So if anybody doesn't know much about me, I have continuously had black friends in my life that I have supported. And I'm going to be flat out honest. Aside from Cash, who you guys mostly know, have completely let me down, owe me tens of thousands of dollars. I've invested in black friends' businesses. I've given free room and board to one of my good friends that always said he would pay me back the money. Lives a great life, it seems now. I don't know if he watches any of my stuff, but all of a sudden this year, in the last calendar year, my life got difficult for the first time in 10 years after busting my ass 100-hour work weeks. All the black friends of mine that owed me money disappeared. And because I started speaking out about conservatism, even though I still said that white privilege was a thing, I was shut down, shut off, completely pretended like that I did not exist. I've invested over $6,000, $7,000 in one friend of mine's business because he was a rapper, and invested my time to talk about stage presence and work on things like that. All of a sudden, when I didn't support Black Lives Matter, I was a nobody, I was a racist, and I was an asshole. Gone. He loved the theme of Be the Change until he learned more about it. And he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Absolutely not. Then I've got one of my closest friends in my whole entire life invested in his first business, $15,000. Received nothing in return. That was life. It's an investment. They lost. We lost. Never once asked for anything. Then gave him free room and board because he was going through a tough time. Introduced him or helped him with the girl that he is now married to. But didn't have my back. Gone. Never, and always said that he would pay me back. Didn't do it. So if I've been deemed a racist for this whole time, riddle me how that's even remotely possible. So now I want to show this video because this is what got me heated today. And I think this is important to show. Please share this out there. I know, trust me, the Chauvin trial it'll be going all day. Not the trial, but the sentencing. So I want to show this video because this is where I lost my shit. And not just at the video, the comments of the ignorance below it. Because I've come to the conclusion, the media and the government, we always say is to blame. But at this point, we're not giving any self-responsibility to the people that are tearing us apart. The people that are being evil to each other. And the comments prove this. I don't care if you're white or black. If you're an asshole, it's time to stop. And the only way it's going to be time to stop is if everybody starts to stand up. And I'm going to read a thing from Jason Whitlock later. So again, I want to stress one thing I said. There is haves, there is have-nots that will have, and then there's the never-haves. Let's create more have-nots that will have instead of the never-haves. So this is what this brave girl who clearly has trauma in her life had to say at a school board meeting.
I've been in counseling as long as I can remember because I was adopted from foster care at age 4. The things I've learned along the way are being challenged now when my science or math teacher is trying to teach me how to be emotionally And why are they teaching me about sexuality and how to identify? I don't want to hear about sexuality during class in front of other students because that should be a private thing.
She just talks about this
Should be
part
left
first,
in
then she goes
homes,
into the race stuff.
in between students and counselors or one-on-one conversations. This has been a very traumatic part of my past, and the more the school focuses on sexuality, the more it affects me and my anxiety. It leaves confusion and frustration in my mind, and I don't know how to deal with that because they only focus on more content I feel hurt about. For example, I was told I have white privilege. How can a child born in an abusive drug and alcohol abuse home who lost her entire biological family that has experienced all forms of abuse and neglect be privileged?
Getting used to the two screens. Did you hear what she said? Sorry about that. She legitimately is talking about how ridiculous and hard her life was. Nikki, I got it. She's talking about how difficult her life was. And they're teaching her in school that she has white privilege. I'm going to continue. Her story is insane. And not dislike many people out there, that white or black.
If you found a child at 15 months in a home with holes in the floor eating cat poop, would you consider them privileged? Just asking, because when I was told that, I was so upset I cried myself to sleep. We have to stop the stereotypes and bitterness towards groups because it gets us nowhere but divided. I have no friends and can say HSE again has failed me. They are trying to divide us into two groups instead of bringing us together as one. Every day I felt less and less valued as a student and failed every class this past year. Academics are not important here, only how we feel and making sure we learn about sexuality, political topics, and emotional topics that teachers may or may not be able to handle, especially with trauma children like myself. I'm happy to move on and begin a fresh start and hope that this next school will love me for me and challenge me to grow in areas that I'm good at. I just want people to love one another, and the way we are doing it is wrong. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, so before I want to actually scroll down on some of this. So again, she was born into an abusive drug and alcohol home, lost her entire biological family, and experienced all forms of abuse, and was eating off the ground. I also want to show you guys, before I look at some of the comments, which make me sick, absolutely ridiculous, I want you to notice everybody clapping except for the people on the left side of the room. So really quick. For some odd reason, she had a problem with what this girl was saying. An 11-year-old coming out and clapping. Now, I am not always a big fan of the quote-unquote victim mentality, and I know she said, I failed my classes, all these different things. This is a child. That is different. White, black, purple, brown, it doesn't matter. If they're a child, the victim mentality at that point comes from their parents or comes from their situation. That can be broken. That needs to be taught, needs to be whatever. So I'm 100%, I would never say for an adult to be like, I failed at life because of this. No. But this point in her life, she is being taught that everything in her life is bad, but it could be worse because her skin color could be different. So I'm going to scroll down. I want to show this. Yeah, the replies, Casey. Was it. So Barbara, I don't even know who Barbara is, a misunderstanding of what white privilege means. Really, Barbara? So I'm sorry, this kid has a misunderstanding. Maybe she should be taught better what white privilege is while she's eating off the ground in her foster home. Here's another one from Chaos Kitty. The fact that you're standing in front of a willing audience and don't have to march in the streets in an effort to hopefully be heard is proof of your white privilege. This is the world we live in. This is why I no longer will stand with the belief that there is such thing as white privilege. SUNY has been saying it to me forever. It's not right, Anthony. You know what? Maybe when I was 12, maybe when I was 15, there is no white privilege in this country anymore, period. And I know that I don't usually yell at the screen like this, but this is enraging for me to read this. Let me see. There's a couple more that I wanted to see. I like this one. I'd like to have LeBron James privilege. And the other thing is they're teaching these sex ed stuff that is, again, we were taught basic sex ed, but they're getting into a high level of it for younger kids at this point. That's not okay. They noticed that the woman didn't even clap. Let's see. There's one other one that I wanted to see. There was one more. There's a lot more at the very bottom. There's a few more at the bottom, I should say. Subtitles. I wonder if it got taken down. There was 3 on the top that I was reading that were just absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, okay, so that's that. Here, so this is the world we live in, that people are still saying that no matter how crappy your life is, that's like when I say that my father was disabled or handicapped. I got yelled at again. You probably heard the story when I talked about my dad being handicapped, and I was told by a black man that I needed to provide receipts of him being handicapped, even though he passed away several years before, because I used the word handicap. Any person that would refer to his father as handicapped, because, by the way, my dad called himself handicapped, clearly couldn't have a handicapped father. If this was a world where there is such complete racism or white supremacy, I'm going to let you out on a secret. Those conversations wouldn't even be had. They wouldn't. I was replaced for a job by a black person simply because the need for diversity. This is not a white supremacist country. This is not about white privilege anymore. There is no white privilege, period. Prove to me how there is without looking at CNN. Prove to me that there is without listening to Don Lemon saying that while he makes millions of dollars doing a show that literally divides the country, as a gay black man, all the minorities mixed into one, is able to have a platform like he has with an absolutely horrific show saying that he is on Twitter, he doesn't get the same rights as white Americans. What did he say? Don Lemon says America is racist and doesn't see blacks as fully human. This is real. Wow. This is a man that has a platform. Instead of teaching other men how to get into journalism, how to be all that they can be, he's literally saying that this country isn't fair while he is jumping from a white picket roof. Look at George Floyd, for example. He just got a 7-foot bronze statue. Tony Timpa is a white guy. If anybody doesn't know who that is, Tony Timpa was killed in the exact same fashion. White guy in Dallas. Asphyxiation. Knee on the back. Died. White guy. No statue and no disciplinary action to the police officers. There's good and there is bad. There's mistakes by police, etc. There is no such thing, and I'm going to say it over and over again on this live, there is no such thing as white privilege. And is there black privilege? No. As I don't think there's any privilege. Yeah, Daniel Shaver's another one. And I'm about to give you one more before I read Jason Whitlock's article, and then I'll let you guys get back to Chauvin. So, is there black privilege? There's just privilege right now, and some of it is color-based, okay? But as I said, the best way to describe it is there is haves, have-nots that will have, and never haves. Plain and simple. There is white people that start at the bottom of the barrel. There is black people that start at the bottom of the barrel, and they crawl themselves up or they don't crawl themselves up. I have friends now with conservatives that have had a very easy life. I am friends now with conservatives that grew up in gangs. And the hardest thing that they're facing the last several years is not anything about their color. It's about being a conservative black person. Because people can't understand how that's possible, how they can dispel the myth of white privilege. So I don't know if anybody heard the article or heard the story that happened, I think it was yesterday. There was a man killed in Colorado. I want to try to bring this up real quick. I want to show the police officer that was ambushed. Give me a second. Here we go. So this is John Hurley, described as Good Samaritan, and Officer Gordon Beasley. So Officer Gordon Beasley was targeted strictly because he was wearing a badge, strictly because he was a police officer, because of the bullshit rhetoric that continues to be spread by the CNNs and the MSNBCs of the world, and even on occasion, Fox News. He was targeted, just like many police officers. He was gunned down and ambushed. Now, John Hurley, you haven't heard of him yet. I've seen it on ABC News. That's it. Not CNN. Not even, I think maybe Fox News. Definitely not MSNBC. So John is a good Samaritan who, it doesn't fit the narrative because he saved lives and he's a white guy that got killed by police officers. Yes, he got killed by police officers because in the wrong situation, he risked his life to save others. And he pulled out his firearm, his legal firearm, and shot and killed, or was part of killing, the suspect, who really is the one at fault. And I want to be very clear that somehow nobody is really getting up in arms about this. This is very similar to the incident with Ma'Khia Bryant, except for Ma'Khia Bryant was trying to kill somebody else innocent when the police showed up. This guy was trying to save lives. And in the split second when cops arrived, they saw a man with a gun and they shot him. Nobody's upset. His friends are on recording saying this is the hero that he was. They're not saying, damn those cops. They're saying it's an unfortunate situation. And by the way, the guy that was that did the killing of the officer, his name's Ronald Troik, 59 of Arvada. He was killed by either the police or by John. Don't know. We don't know what race he is. We probably shouldn't. We probably shouldn't know what anybody's race is in a bad situation because that incites anger and frustration. But I want to know if he turns out that he was a person of color, if that would wake anybody up to the bullshit narrative that is happening right now. Antonia, when I say I feel her pain, we're talking about the kid, and you say that, there is no such thing as white. It is 100% my opinion. It is not a fact. But I'm hoping people can see why my opinion is rooted in as much strength as humanly possible. As somebody that has felt there is white privilege for a decent period of time after several conversations with black friends and what they've gone through. There is inconveniences in this world. Being pulled over by police, more than white people, absolutely. Being judged by the color of my skin, which is more in this, also in this direction for employment, etc. How does that change? It's just people that are judgmental of other people. It's got nothing to do with white privilege anymore. White privilege is gone. This is proof. This story right here of these two people is proof. Being American is privilege. Absolutely. And the people that don't recognize that scare me. Okay, so I want to end it with this article. It does take a couple minutes. It is a little longer than I thought I would go. It's frustrating. I don't know if I've been this angry watching it. Seeing what that girl went through herself and then to see idiots shame her, to me, was as far as I could go without just getting angry. So I'm going to read this article by Jason Whitlock. If you don't know who Jason Whitlock is, he is a black broadcaster, newscaster. I think he's Nashville-based now. And he writes, he's now working for The Blaze. Maybe he's moved to Dallas. I don't know. He has a piece called Fearless, Jason Whitlock's letter to Black America, explaining the real purpose of made-for-TV racial conflict. I'm going to read it on this screen. Dear black people, we're being lied to and set up. The mainstream media, Democratic politicians, and social journalists, activists, and perhaps even your church pastor have led you to believe America is in the midst of a racial conflict similar to the Civil War and the Civil Rights Movement. They have pitted us against the Proud Boys, the KKK, rural militia groups, and Trump supporters in a made-for-TV race war just 5 years after Barack Obama completed two terms as president of the United States. We're supposed to believe America has been overrun by violent white supremacists determined to reinstate segregation, Jim Crow laws, and maybe even slavery. Evidence of this massive wave of 1920s-style bigotry amounts to three things. One, Republicans want all voters to show government-issued ID. Two, on January 6th, unarmed Trump supporters crashed the Capitol and took pictures inside Nancy Pelosi's office. Three, across the nation, police kill on average 250 black men and 450 white men a year. Again, you've heard us say statistics that are under 20, sometimes under 10. That's unarmed. So this is even the armed situation. Police kill on average 250 black men and 450 white men per year. Oh, I almost forgot. There's a fourth piece of evidence. Colin Kaepernick failed to land a job as a starting quarterback after pissing off a large segment of football fans by taking a knee during the national anthem. For those of you just joining, this is an article by Jason Whitlock of The Blaze. Those are the main smoking guns proving that white supremacy is the most dangerous domestic threat America faces. George Floyd, a habitual criminal and drug addict, is in the crispest attacks of this raging race war. He's our rallying cry and hero. It's a setup. We're being used as decoys and distractions in a war that has nothing to do with race. The real war is about global power and the future of America's system of government. The country's elite global citizens and corporations prefer communism over capitalism and democracy. They prefer China's system over our system. America has been the world leader in racial progress and fairness. Period. I added the period. The mainstream media are not allowed to explain this to you. Advertisers, also known as major corporations, will no longer support media outlets that back our current democratic and capitalistic systems of government. You say, what about Fox News? He says, turn it on. It's filled with a bunch of MyPillow and Wounded Soldier commercials. America's big global corporations, the ones looking to improve their market share in China, are not financially supporting Fox News. The most popular voices at Fox dislike China. The faux race war the mainstream media have promoted as a tool being used to convince you and non-black Americans that our system of government has been a giant failure. They want you to believe that a great reset is necessary to achieve fairness. The reset, ladies and gentlemen, is communism, which starts with the gateway drug of socialism and ends in full-blown Marxism. China is run by the Communist Chinese Party. Communism has no respect for individual freedoms or religion of any kind. Communism has no tolerance for political dissent. Your religion and free speech will not survive the reset. Communism is racial oppression's best friend. When a nation is stripped of religious faith and free speech, few people have the courage to defend the rights of minorities. The elites cozying up to China do not care about you. They are aware of how despicably China treats black people. They are aware of how China squashes dissent. Do your own research on communism and what it stamps out and how it oppresses. Don't take my word. Again, this is Jason Whitlock's article in The Blaze. You might be wondering why Oprah Winfrey, funny that he brought up Oprah Winfrey and LeBron James. I'll say it again. You might be wondering why Oprah Winfrey or LeBron James or some other super popular black celebrity isn't telling you what I am. It's ironic. I swear to God, I did not read this article before I wrote this piece or before I started talking about this, before I took my notes. They're global elites. The reset won't hurt them, their loved ones. Communism favors wealthy elites far more than capitalism and democracy do. Oprah, LeBron, and the other uber wealthy black tokens, again, this is not me saying it, black tokens, according to Jason Whitlock, will thrive under socialism and communism. You won't, unless you're a 6'6" basketballer or some other black entertainer capable of entertaining people in power. That's a tiny percentage of black people. Why won't your favorite white cable newsman or newswoman tell you what I'm telling you? Rachel Maddow, Anderson Cooper, Chris Cuomo, Joe Scarborough. Aren't they our allies? No, they're not. They're political lobbyists working on behalf of the corporations and politicians pushing the reset. Said, okay, what about me? You might think I'm political partisan working on behalf of the conservative Republicans. That is certainly how I've been painted by the left-leaning media outlets and social media platforms. And now I'm partnered with Blaze Media, a platform that leans right. Again, talking about Jason Whitlock. Judge my career. I've been in this for more than 30 years. I've been equally despised by the left and the right, publicly feuded with Bill O'Reilly and Keith Olbermann. I've been a guest. Keith Olbermann makes me want to tear my eyes out. I've been a guest on their old Fox News and MSNBC shows. I've worked and or written for ESPN, Fox Sports, the Huffington Post, Playboy Magazine, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and spent years bashing Sarah Palin. Again, this is Jason Whitlock. Just want to make sure as people join, they're not thinking that I got to write for all these magazines yet. I don't play for any political team. I've never voted. I go wherever I can believe I can speak, follow, and write the truth. The truth I believe the most is that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior. I believe Jesus is under attack. That's why I'm at Blaze Media. You can't defend Jesus at corporate media outlets. Advertisers won't allow it. You can discuss the religion of racism every day. at ESPN, CNN, MSNBC, and even Fox Sports. But it's taboo to discuss the cure for racism, Jesus, on those platforms. And if anybody used to watch ESPN or watches it now, I used to be an avid ESPN watcher. This is my own words. I can't watch it anymore. It is one gigantic ad for Black Lives Matter. And not that Black Lives Mattering, it's more about the organization and the propaganda spread about how horrible their lives are. Back to Jason. I'm not saying any of this because there's a big paycheck for black men espousing my views. The money for black broadcasters and journalists is connected to preaching the race-bait religion. Let me be clear. I am not broke by any stretch. I've earned and saved a substantial sum of money, but I've bypassed far more money than I've earned with the choice I've made to follow the truth wherever it leads and my refusal to support the racial groupthink dictated by the global elites. My faith won't allow me to jump on board with the lunacy, racism, and sacrilege of Black Lives Matter, a movement founded by 3 lesbian, self-admitted, trained Marxists. BLM is an atheist movement in support of LGBTQ issues and the reshaping of America into a communist country. BLM is part of the deception. Black people tell me all the time, I don't support the BLM organization, but I support the slogan and sentiment. Let me translate that. You despise the devil's tree, but love the fruit it produces. That's some Don Lemon. That's just so funny that he's bringing up everybody that I talked about in my notes. I have not fully read even this last few paragraphs of the article until now. That's some Don Lemon, Lori Lightfoot, Van Jones, Colin Kaepernick level of hypocrisy. You know, all the Malcolm X wannabe anti-white radicals in relationships with white partners. Facts. They hate the white tree but can't live without the white fruit. We have to stop letting everyone use us. We're being played. We're all being played. Black and white, working class people, it's all a giant setup. Look at what they did to Trump supporters. They were manipulated into storming the Capitol, and then corporate media portrayed it as bloody, violent KKK rally intended to overthrow democracy. The so-called insurrection is an excuse for the government to seize more power and crush dissent. As somebody that was there that day, me, I can tell you everything that's been painted, and I've said it for 5 months, is absolute, complete bullshit and hyperbole of that day. They're painting 30, 40, 60 max people, which some of whom are either FBI informants, agents, or Antifa. They're painting this as the worst day in history. Listen to Pelosi the other day. Awful. Back to Jason. We, black people, have been convinced the crushing of working class white people is good for us. It's not. Working class white people, Christian white people, are our true allies, not the elites. We can't see that because of the made-for-TV hyper-focus on racial conflict. The defunding and demoralizing of police are tactics deployed to increase violence in major cities. Local media outlets are focusing on this rise in crime. National media outlets have followed suit, and social media platforms are generating viral videos exposing the crime wave. Guess who are the stars of this content? Black perpetrators. It's all a massive setup. The stirring of racial animus between Obama worshipers and Trump worshipers is orchestrated by billionaire elites, executed by trained Marxists, promoted by millionaire influencers in the media, sports, and entertainment worlds, and co-signed by religious leaders pursuing popularity. Black America, print this letter and share it with your family, friends, coworkers, and most importantly, your pastor. My critics would tell you, oh, Jason Whitlock is a sellout. He hates black people. That's laughable. It's part of the deception. I despise the people deceiving us, manipulating us to participate in a racial clash that will be used to destroy the religious and individual freedoms that liberate us. There's a reason black and brown people across the globe fight to get into this country and excel when they do. They love the American tree and the fruit it produces. Thank you for reading. That's Jason Whitlock. That was one of the best articles I have ever seen written, period. Bringing this back onto the main screen so I can see what you guys are saying. I've not been able to look at comments. I wanted to read that. Guys, there is no such thing, in my opinion, on white privilege. For somebody that has given and given to minority communities and supported black-owned businesses, and I'm the one deemed a racist because I don't put black squares. I'm replaced by people that are of different color, not because I did something wrong, and this isn't just happening to me, but you're replaced because a need for diversity hiring. All well and good, but when did diversity then become against the demographics? Technically, diversity hiring would be under 20% of your team, but when you're hiring a minimum of 50% one way, that breaks the paradigm. And it's going to cause hate from the pendulum the opposite direction. I am not propagating hate. I hate hate. I am against hate. But think of what this video is entailing. Somebody that was so on the train of making sure that that white privilege was addressed and saying, you know what, I definitely was not privileged, but I may have received a little bit of white privilege in my day. Now says F white privilege, social construct in 2021. It's been a part of the fabric of this country for a period of time, for actually forever, the whole history of this country. It is no longer here. And two wrongs do not make a right. That's all I've got to say, guys. Sorry that I am so insanely angry. I'm way angrier about this than I have been in a while, because the fact that it's changed my paradigm so much because of all the hate that is put out there, it's disgusting, because I know my own patience. I know the way that I look at the world. I know how calm I can be, and I can't imagine people that are a little bit more on the other side. We are going to be creating a country, I should say. We are going to be creating a country of racists again. We are going in reverse by the people that think they're fixing it. You want to fix it? Volunteer. And while you're volunteering with the inner city community, the Black community, the minority community, when you're volunteering, tell them that they can be something. Give them examples on how great they can be. Show them examples of Thomas Sowell. Show them examples of Dr. Ben Carson. Show them examples of that father with the 2 medical degrees talking about how is it okay that you're teaching my kid critical race theory. Show them that. Show them the movie Uncle Tom that shows shows a bunch of cases of Black success stories. Show them the Oprah Winfrey story, not her words, where she came from, where she was told she would not amount to anything, that she wasn't made for news, wasn't made for TV, wasn't made for talk. Don't show the version of her that says Black people have it just horribly. I'm going to take a deep breath on this one, because I'm so sick of being told that any white person that has achieved anything in their life was given something because of their color of their skin. It's not fair anymore, and it's creating hate. That young girl in the beginning of the video deserved a pat on her back for somebody to stand up that clearly has anxiety issues and do that. And I don't care if she was white or Black. She had the same sentiment. And to even have an adult in the room not clap for that girl, showing a clear sign of animosity, means that people aren't listening. That's all I've got to say to you guys. Today, I will be back. I'm excited to talk more because I have I have a positive video. We're going to do what made you smile today, so get prepared with that. And I also want to talk about the Ivory Hecker. If anybody saw her video that came out yesterday or the day before, which I'm sure will be pulled from Twitter, but it is on BitChute. I'm going to talk about it later. Joe Rogan is on the I word train, if anybody listened to his podcast. So we're going to talk a little bit about COVID on the 2nd. I'm doing 2 blunt force logics today. Woo! We're in the bonus. I'm going to do that probably after dinner. Yes, 2 adults did not clap. It was pretty sad. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for joining. As for Cash, hopefully I'll be talking to him today. We texted a little bit. I have not heard from him. So sorry, this is 20 minutes longer than I thought. I'm going to go catch up with the, yeah, I know I hit the mute on accident. I'm going to try to check out what's going on with the, let's see what's going on with the Chauvin trial. Oh, and by the way, did anybody see that a building just completely collapsed in Miami? Buildings just don't collapse. Super weird. Not really in the national news. Either is, that guy that saved a life and then got shot by a police officer, the Caucasian guy. Super weird. Have a great day, guys. Be the change you wish you in the world by awakening the woke. That's all I got to say. If you're still here, hit the share button, hit the like button, help me out. Hook a brother up.